Hello everybody, welcome back to another Expeditions Guide. Today we're going to be taking a look at Any Weather is Good Weather. This is a contract in the Tatras region. This contract is unlocked after completing River Cruise, and you do need to have a vehicle with a sideboard because we have a bunch of cargo that we're going to have to haul. And that is going to be 2 portable Meteostations and 2 meteorological balloons. So in addition to that, I also have with me a set of anchors and jack screws, and we're going to be using the Decin S-3T for this expedition, and if you have any questions about my vehicle loadout, you'll find that in the description below. So let's talk about what we're doing. So we are starting here at the Northeast Outpost, and we're going to head all the way down here for our first installation. After that, we're going to head up to the north along the river for our second one, and then we're going to cross the river and make our way south, and then west up into the mountains for the third one. After which we're going to head down the mountain, across the flooded plains and the river there, to install our fourth and final. So this is going to take us all over the map. It's going to be a long one, so buckle up. Let's get started, and I'll show you how it's done. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and head on up out of the outpost by using this path to the south here. And from here, we're going to go right in between the rocks and make our way down the hill. Just going to take it nice and easy over the bumps here, knock over these trees that are kind of in our way, and swing around to the left to head on over to the first installation location. And then we're going to go ahead and set up a balloon. Go, we got the balloon deployed. And with that, we're going to back up and start making our way to the north. So let's just take a look at where we're at. We are right here. We got the first one installed. So we're going to go ahead and just swing up the river to our next one, which is up on that little plateau. So first thing we're going to do is go ahead and get turned around, make our way back through the trees, and then kind of head to the left here through this little ditch. And then from there we're just going to follow this path down towards the river. Right over here we're going to head to the left around the rocks. Once we get to the big rock, this is going to be a tricky spot here. We're going to go right in between the rocks and the tree here. We're going to watch really closely for that little dip in the left there, just to maintain our truck balance. Once we get through there, we can keep heading down the hill. Once we get down to the bottom of the hill, we can go ahead and cross the water. Get across the water, we can head right on up this little hill here. And then we're just going to head right on over to the river. Head right on down to the shoreline. And then we're going to swing to the right and follow the hills going around the water. Almost got caught up by that little branch there, but everything turned out all right. So we're going to go just right up this hill here, past these rocks. And then up this hill here, which is going to take us up through the forest. We're just going to kind of snake our way around that hill, kind of staying on the level ground here. And from here, we're just going to go right around these rocks. And up and over the hill. Once we get clear of these trees, we're going to follow this path down to the left here, over these rocks, just going to follow this all the way down the hill here. Once we get down to the bottom of the hill, we're going to head back up the hill on this side. On the other side of the rocks, we're going to go ahead and cross the ditch here. And then just right on up the hill. We're going to be doing a lot of up and down on the hills. There's just a lot of them in this area of the map. Get over here, we're going to go right around these trees. We're going to head down and across these rocks here, and then across the little river here, and then we're just going to clamber over the rocks. And then we're going to climb over this rock here. We're just going to go right on across up towards these trees. Right up this hill, and then we're just going to follow this little dirt path up towards our marker, which is at the top of that little plateau up there. So we're just going to stay in this little cutout here, just down in the water. Because this is going to take us to our path up to the top of that plateau. Oh, come on. I kind of got hung up on one of those rocks there, but that's alright. Alright, once we get past these trees, there is a nice looking path right up to our right here. So we're just going to follow this all the way up. We're just kind of zigzagging across the crevice here. Trying to make sure we cross it pretty head-on so that we're avoiding tipping and balance issues with the vehicle. Once we get on up here, we're going to swing it to the left here, and that's going to get us up on top of the plateau. And then we're going to head on over to our next installation location. So we can go ahead and deliver the portable Meteostation. Alright, so that is installation number 2. That puts us right up over here. So we're going to head down the plateau, across these islands, and then up into these mountains. And at the top of this mountain is where we're going to install our second portable Meteostation. So that is where we are headed next. So what we're going to do is go ahead and get backed up, turned around, and instead of heading down the right side, which is what we came up, we're going to head down the left side instead. So we're going to go ahead and just go right on past all these trees here. Once we get around the trees, we can go ahead and make our way right on through the middle there. Follow this right on down to the river. If we get over here, we're going to head up this hill to the right. right over here. This is going to be another tricky spot. We're just going to take it nice and slow. Pretty sharp turn over the rocks. Kind of some balance issues there, so nice and slow there. And once we get over here, we're going to go ahead and just cross the river using this little sandbar. And we can actually go ahead and reduce some tire pressure here just to get a little bit more speed out of the vehicle going through some of this muddy area. And we're just going to follow this shallow spot all the way up and around. And right here we're going to climb up onto this rock. And then head down the hill into some more mud. And from here we're just going to climb up over the rocks here. And right on through all the trees. And then once again through some more mud. Alright, once we get through the mud, we can go ahead and put the tire pressures back up on the vehicle and keep moving forward. So this is going to be another little tricky spot here. We're going to just kind of stay up on the left side here. Very tricky. And then right over here we're going to cut down and go right in between the rocks. And right over here we're going to make our way to the rock stairs. So we get right across the water here. And then we're going to go right on up the stairs. And we're just going to keep climbing the stairs here. Once we get up the stairs, we're going to head to the right and start climbing the mountain. So this is a very steep mountain, but the Decin is capable of climbing up here. We do have to be very careful with it being very steep. We want to kind of keep the vehicle pointed uphill as much as we can, just to avoid any balance issues, especially with all these trees and stuff kind of in the way. So we're just going to keep the vehicle pointed straight up the hill. Right around the trees. And then up through these trees. And then we head down. So once we get over the mountain, this is a good spot to go ahead and just top off the fuel. So we're going to go ahead and do that with our fuel supplies. And this next section is pretty open. A lot of different ways to go, but we're just going to follow up on this side. We're going to be crisscrossing the water. Right over here, we'll go across the water. Around this cluster of trees. And back across some more water. And then we're just going to make our way right on through the woods. Head down to the right here. Down and across some more water. Once we get across the water, we're going to climb this hidden path behind the trees here to get up to the top of this mountain. And then we're just going to very carefully head down into this little crater here. And that is going to be our third installation location. Let's go ahead and install that portable Meteostation. And with that done, we have one left to go. So we're going to head back up out of this crater and make our way down the mountain path here. And then we're going to go ahead and cross the river right here. And then head up through the side of this mountain to install the final location. So that's kind of what we're about to do here. So let's go ahead and get turned around. And just like before, we're going to be very careful getting up out of here. It is kind of slanted and tilted, and I'm just going to try to straddle the cracks in the ground as much as we can to just get the vehicle up and over the hill. And then we're going to head on down very slowly. We want to go right around this big rock here. Right on through here. And go right across the water, avoiding the giant stump there. Once we get through the water, we're going to head on down through the archway. Once we get through the archway, we're going to stay to the right. And then follow this path down and across the rocks. And then off to the right. And then from here, we're going to go across some more rocks. And then we got to head down below, but we do not have the turning radius in this vehicle to fully do that. So we're just going to go ahead and back up, get the vehicle pointed the right direction, and make our way off the mountain. Once we get off the mountain, we're going to follow this clearing through the forest and get on over to our river crossing. Now, there's nothing too dangerous here. There are a lot of sticks and things like that hidden in the brush that can cause some problems if you hit them. And there's also some dips in the ground like that, so just nice and careful through here. Alright, once we get through the clearing, this is going to take us over to our river crossing. We're going to go ahead and just circle this little pond here. And this is going to be some deep mud, so we're going to go ahead and put those tire pressures down a notch. And what we're going to do, because there's some deep water here, we're going to head off to the far end of this little sandbar here, and then just a nice wide turn will keep us out of the deep water and out of the danger zone. Kind of right on the edge of that water being too deep, but it's not, so we can just get right on through here. Once we get through here, we're going to get up onto this little island, and we can go ahead and put those pressures back up. So once we've made it to this island, we're just going to zigzag through the trees here. Just make our way through here. onto this little island, and then we're just going to stick to the shallow waters. Get across this little river here. And right on up this hill. It is a very tricky hill. You want to make sure you're just pointed up in the right direction there. And right over here, we're going to swing down to the right. And we're going to follow this path around this little hill towards the little camp. And we're just going to go right on through the camp. We're just going to stick right onto the water's edge here. All this right around and up the hill. And once we get over here, this is going to be our path up the mountain. We're going to swing to the left and climb this mountain. Once we get through the rock pass, we're going to head to the right. And we're going to be very careful here. There's a lot of bumps and cracks in the ground here. So we're just going to take it nice and slow. Kind of hanging off to the left as much as we can here, especially through this section. It's a little bumpy. And right on over here, we can go ahead and install that meteorological balloon. Launch that up in the air. And there you go. That is going to complete Any Weather is Good Weather. So if you guys enjoyed this guide, let me know what you think. And until next time, I'll see you in the wilds. Bye-bye.